What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we are going to be checking out a title I like very much. It is called Delta V, and it is a hard science mining simulator set in the rings of Saturn. So we are somewhere like 200 years in the future, and we are a ring miner, which is kind of like, you know how in hard space shipbreakers you're a breaker? And that's kind of like a rare group of people that do very, very dangerous work for massive payouts because they have like incredible debts to deal with. This game is a very similar premise, except that you are a ring miner. And so you're taking a crappy space rig out into space and you're mining rocks and you're attempting to make money. There's going to be little storyline elements that come up. The game is somewhat procedural and emergent, so like there's no threat or thing that's going to happen like while you're in the station, but while you're out in the rings, you never know. Sometimes you run into pirates, sometimes you run into law enforcement chasing pirates, sometimes you run into other miners and have to fight over your claim, sometimes you find other things that are a little bit more esoteric and unexplained. But anyways, welcome on in. If after watching this you wanted to get the game for yourself, you can look down below in the description and I will have a link for you. On top of that, you can also take a look down there and there's going to be a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream just in case you wanted to hang out live. Here in Delta V, we are in Enchilada Station. That's what I call it. It's called Enchiladas or Enchiladas or something like that, but I call it Enchilada Station. We're in Enchilada Station right now. This is basically where you're going to rest, refuel, and get ready for another run into the rings. At the moment, we have about 70,000 space bucks, and I was just kind of taking a look at my ship and deciding if I wanted to upgrade anything right now. I've played for a couple of hours prior to the recording of this video, so I'd like to think I have like a rough idea of what's going on. But this is a highly customizable game. But before we get into the process of kind of like fiddling with your craft, I figure I should show you like the main meat and potatoes of the game, which is actually ring mining itself. This game is very low sci-fi or like hard sci-fi. What that effectively means is that the game is based on science. There's not going to be any crazy like laser cannons or anything else like that. It's a game that very, very much seeks out to be kind of like realistic. Like, what will the future actually be like? What would the realistic dangers of this job be? Why would someone take this job? So on and so forth. This is the deployment screen right here. We can decide where we want to go. We can go to the Keeler Gap. You can actually take this and you can deploy about as far into the rings all the way into the Enki Gap as you want. The only downside to that is that it's going to cost you a lot of money for the jump fee. And so anyways, we're going to come in from the edge over here because we're not really equipped with the kind of cash it's going to take. I got extorted, all right? On my last flight, I had like 150,000 and some pirates showed up and they were like, "You're going to pay us or we're going to murder you." And my ship is not weaponized like at all. It is entirely for mining. So I was like, "Hey, take what you want there, brother. I got a family and stuff." So they took all my monies. And so unfortunately, I'm not broke, like I've got a little bit of cushion, but we got to deploy to the edge because I don't have that serious money. So let's go ahead and we can actually go upwards and downwards on the rings too, just in case you want to. It'll kind of recalculate our jump. It's going to cost us $5 grand to get on in there. We've refueled and it looks like we've got mass driver ammo ready to go. So we've got about 400 bullets. Let's go ahead and ring dive. Let's get on out of the port, and then I'll explain to you some of the modifications that I've made to my little mining craft so far, although I'm not exactly sure they're working exactly as intended, but off and away we go. It's time for us to head on over to the Keeler Gap. I love these little kind of, I don't know, they remind me of Ridley Scott scenes. This game definitely has kind of like a Weyland-Yutani feel to it. You can customize this UI. You can actually get different UIs for your ship. One thing I like about this game is how customizable it is. So here we are in the rings, sitting still, hanging out. There's a space rock. This is my craft. I've done some modifications to it in order to make it a little bit more effective at the job that I'm seeking out to do. But let's talk about the stuff we've got going on the HUD before we get going playing. I'm going to go ahead and pop the brakes real quick so I don't crash into anything. All right, so in the top left, we've got our LiDAR. Everything on there is a rock. You will occasionally see other signals that are larger. Those are going to be ships. You kind of want to check and see if they have a transponder on. If they do not have a transponder on, they're probably up to no good. So for example, you can see we've got JG49166, who's actually headed towards us right now, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. The fact that they've got a flight designation and they've got a call sign and they've got a transponder on is a good sign. It means it's more than likely not hostile, but we'll see what they want when they get here. If anything is blue, it means it's coming towards you. If anything is red on the LiDAR, it means it's moving away from you. Down here, we've got our autopilot settings, basically our telemetry data. You don't want to go above 50 meters per second in any situation. That means that the fuel rods are going to rattle. Inside of here, we are a nuclear-powered craft, and it's not going to work out. You do not want the fuel rods to rattle. Need help, Naive Crown? Naive Crown is our call sign, by the way. Let's see what's going on with this guy. No. Oh, he's offering to help us out. Okay. No, I think I'm good. Actually, what's your rates? I have my expenses ringer. We've got 20,000 and we've got a deal. Sorry about that, dude. That's too much money. I'm a little bit tapped out right now. Normally, if I had more money, I'd be like, sure, let's get a wingman and we'll split the profits. But for the moment, we're not sitting pretty on cash right now. So anyways, now that we've dealt with this other miner that wanted to kind of jump on in, this is our cargo scoop right here, our cargo hold. This is effectively the stomach of our ship. We've got 120 cubic meters of space left. These are cargo baffles right here, these little green things. I actually had those installed aftermarket because a funny thing about the default ship is when you first start out, basically, if I hold down the enter key, we open up our cargo scoop right there. You can see it, and we can shovel stuff into our mouths. But if you don't have cargo baffles, if you break, which you typically do when you're picking up cargo, all of the cargo you've already stored will spit out of your mouth, and your ship will basically be like, and like throw up all of its loot. And then you got to try to grab it all again, which is just a massive headache and a waste of time and fuel. So anyways, I've got cargo baffles installed over there. Down here in the bottom right, we've got a display of our ship and its quality. So really, what we've got going on right here is from the top to the bottom, you can see how the shading's gone a little bit on this model of our ship. That's because that's the fuel usage. This right here is how much we have left inside of our nuclear battery. That's going to fire off whenever we use thrusters or whenever we use a weapon or utilities. Down here is our reactor. This little ring fills up with heat. You need to disperse that heat by firing your engines and whatnot in order to... You notice how it's making tiny adjustments right now, and it's occasionally firing off like the different thrusters. It's because it's venting heat a little bit and it's stabilizing us. Up here at the top, we've got all of the parts of our ship. Everything here. Oh, we've got another one coming in too. MRS 3230. I don't know who that is. I don't like how apparently we jumped into a very popular area. But anyways, this is your damage readout. If anything's yellow or red on here, that's bad. Over here, we have basically just a whole bunch of systems data. How much we have stored inside of our capacitor, our reactor temperature. You kind of want your reactor temperature to be around 3,500 Kelvin or so. Between 3,500 and 4,000. It'll go up and down depending on how powerful your engine is, but... is what it is. We've got our mass right here. You don't want that to get too large, otherwise it's going to be really difficult to adjust the ship. We got how much propellant we've got remaining, which is the numerical representation of how much fuel we have in here. We've got a visual feed. I haven't actually learned how to do a good job with the visual feed yet. The visual feed normally implies that there's like something around, but I haven't really learned to read it very well, unfortunately, and so I can't really tell you about the visual feed. We got another guy offering to help us. Lots of helpful people in the ring today. Lots and lots of helpful people. So this game has a different control method than most games. You can use WASD and Q and E in order to control your thrusters manually, but the game actually is intended to be played between manual control and also adjusted and sort of assistive autopilot. What I mean by that is this ring right here is going to be our facing. If we right-click, we can face the ship in any direction we want by dragging the dial. And then we can also take this dot right here. The circle is basically our ship. The triangle is how fast we're moving in relation to like whatever it is we're referencing. And so if I drag the triangle forward, what you'll see is we get a little bit of forward thrust right there. And we'll start moving forward. We're moving at about 24 meters per second right now, which I think is a respectable rate. I'm going to let us float on into the ring a little bit so that it'll get a little bit more dense. In fact, if we look at the LiDAR up above us, there's actually a lot of mineable utilities, so maybe I'll go that way. At any time, you can press the X key on your keyboard, and it will stabilize you and bring you down to no movement and no vector whatsoever. Let's go ahead and shoot this big rock right here with the space bar, and we've got ore. So there's our ore right there. I've got a little grabby arm that I added to my craft aftermarket just to make it easier to get cargo inside my ship. It's not hard to catch the cargo all by yourself, but like, I found that the majority of damage that I took while I was playing is because I was forced to take vectors in relation to pieces of ore that were flying around that were very, very dangerous. And having the grabber arm eliminates some of that distance and puts it directly inside my mouth, and so it just makes life easier. We've got water. It was actually about 4 cubic meters of water that we just harvested. That's not good. Water is more of a byproduct in this game than it is kind of bycatch. You don't want it. Later on, you can get a cargo hold that will actually boil off the water and convert it into fuel, or we'll just boil off the water so you've got more room for like precious metals. But for right now, we'll take the water back with us. It's not like we can't sell it, like we can, but you know, there's another little piece of ore right there. God, I love you, grabby arm. You were the best grabby arm in the history of grabby arms. Probably one of the best purchases I've ever made, my little grabber arm over here. The grabber arm will also protect the ship, so it has, like, multiple things that it does. The grabber arm, actually, if it sees anything coming towards the ship that's going to hit the ship, it will grab it and push it away. Like, this is actually a really cool utility right here. The downside to it is that I have to put my mining mass driver on the side of my ship, which makes it less accurate. So it's not great for mining little rocks. Like, it can be kind of hard to aim sometimes. But I'm willing to take that trade-off if it saves me repairs. You can also move the ship in relation to any other object using the autopilot that you want. So you can see that I'm locked onto this ore right now. That means that my ship will match the velocity and movement of that, and then we can just drag the autopilot in relation to it, and it'll give us forward thrust, or we can kind of strafe around it. Later on, once we've got better propellant and we've got better engines, we'll actually go over to manual control a lot more, just because manual control works a little bit better once you've got like good engines and you can do some pretty cool acrobatics. But for right now, our ship is so clunky and terrible that it's just not gonna work. There we go. We've got ore right there, so let's go ahead and grab that real quick. And I think I'm just going to take a little bit of time, and we're just going to mine for a little while, and then I'll come back with an edit once I feel like I have filled up the... Ooh, that was a good one right there. We got a cubic meter of platinum. Nice. That was actually worth like 10K. As you can see, it's grabbing that right there, and then what it'll do is it'll hold it in front of the mass driver, basically, so that I can shoot it. The grabber arm is fantastic. It's actually probably the best purchase I've ever made. I love the... I actually really, really, really love... that one's kind of moving. Let's not go after it. I don't want to chase that one all throughout the ring. We'll just leave it alone. Num 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 num. Come here, little space nuggy. I require you for my monies. Nom 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 nom. Mmm, delicious nuggets. It looks like we've got something incoming right now. We've got SE1-1844. There's nothing too indicative about that name. Does my grabber claw have something for me right now? Oh, it does. It had like a little bit for me. Good. Okay. Well, we've made about $20,000 so far. I mean, the vast majority of our cargo hold is filled up with water at the moment, which really kind of sucks. Like, I wish that it was not the case. Did you catch something? Oh. Sometimes my little grabber hand has stuff, and, like, I don't know what it captured. Who are you? What do you want? Cruel overseer of Vilchion bounty hunt. Stay clear, naive crown. It's gonna get hot. Aw, dude, don't say that. Alright, acknowledged. Are they coming right now, dude? Apparently that's just law enforcement cruising around letting people know that they're actively hunting somebody right now. Ugh, I don't want to be anywhere near a gunfight or anything else. We're just not equipped for combat, dude. But that's what I like about this game is like, there's kind of like comms chatter and people come by and they're like, hey, what's going on, Ring? How you doing? And you'll be like, you know, just doing my job out here in the black, just kind of doing things in the depressing loneliness of space. How are you? This, I swear, this side-mounted... Hold on. Can the grabber claw get that? Hey, grabber claw, bring it in there, buddy. You missed. You missed, grabber claw. Try again. It's okay. You can take another try. There you go. We're not a precise operation out here. I believe in you. That's actually kind of what I like about the game, as I was saying before we got caught up eating Space McNuggets. I like this game because it's a very relaxing, like, somber, lonely game that's based on, like, science and, like, physics and things like that. It's a very, very realistic, like, believable version of the future where everybody out in the rings of Saturn has kind of, like, exiled themselves out here for one reason or another. They might be running from something. They may have a story to tell. But everybody is out here doing this dangerous, ridiculous job for a reason, and that's kind of what I enjoy about it. So anyways, we've cleared out this space pretty well right now. Our mass is getting kind of heavy. We've got a lot of weight going on now that we've brought all this cargo on board. I'm getting a little bit worried about our ability to maneuver. Hey, that one's coming right for us, Ned. Let's go ahead and grab it. I might hit this rock over here, though. I actually did not hit the rock. That's nice. Grabber arm, can you actually get the loot inside my mouth, please? Thank you. Perfect. Well done, grabber arm. I believed in you. No, don't grab that over there. It's like my grabber arm is kind of like a 5-year-old. It just can't help but touch and grab everything. It keeps trying. It's not his fault. What I do like is that we can adjust course. So you see how we have this little vector line right here? We can adjust this little vector line if we want to. Please stop grabbing things, grabber arm. I would love it if you would not grab things anymore. But yeah, it's the little things with this game. Stuff like the proximity alarms going off and being, like, customizable while you're floating through space. Like, there's so many little things with this game. And I've told you guys this before, and I'll tell you again. I really, really actually prefer novel, interesting games like this that kind of they sort of, like, so every now and again you'll come across a game like this, like Hard Space Shipbreakers, or like Delta 5, or like Mech Engineers, that really goes out of its way to buck the conventional wisdom about game design. And they're doing that on purpose so that they can make something that's, like, intrinsically really, really unique, sort of at the cost of the slick veneer and design of, like, modern game. Listen, dude, I want to shoot what's in your hand, but you're not making it easy. There we go. Did you actually get something out of that? Damn, grabber arm, you're like the best friend I've ever had, dude. You're amazing. So we're sitting on top of some, I think W is wolframite? I don't remember the element for W. That's actually kind of like deep periodic table. I don't remember what W is. We've got some iron. We've got some V, apparently. I'm going to shoot that real quick. Did you get some ore out of that? Go ahead and shovel that on in there. Get it on in there. There we go. And then I gotta kind of use... Man. Okay, we're kind of full up right now. We're starting to lose more cargo. It's taken me longer to secure the cargo than it probably should. And so let's get out of here, and we're going to unload our cargo bay real fast. I would like that rock to go away, though. There we go. And if the ore happens to come towards us, it's all good. So at any time, you can press the J key, and it'll take you into your repair menu, and it'll take you into your comms, and it'll bring you into your astrogator, which is not a type of alligator that flies through space. Nay, it's your ability to navigate, and at any time, you can fast travel back to Enchilada Prime. If we had a geologist, or if we had staff, you can actually bring supplementary staff with you when you go on these little adventures, and they'll give you kind of like skill mods, and like some of them have their own storylines and stuff, like things that they'll want to see or investigate or do, and you can help them with that or you can not help them with that. But either way, let's go back to Enchilada Prime and bank our winnings here. We didn't make that much money on this run. I would have preferred to make 60 or 70. That would be like a good run to me, but the cargo hold isn't settling properly now, and so it's just becoming a little bit of a headache to get the loot actually inside the ship. So we'll head back. Okay, so welcome back to Enchilada Prime. We've made it back to port. The vast majority of our money came from the W that we mined, so that's good. A little too much water on that run, though. That's what got us into trouble, and actually, the estimated amount was a little bit low, so we made a little bonus right there. That's nice. This game has a working stock market, so you can actually engage in speculative trading in this game if you want to. The prices will go up the prices will go down. If you think they're going to go up, you can buy and hold onto it inside of your cargo hold and sell when the price goes up. So right now, palladium is kind of like high. It looks like platinum is kind of headed downwards a little bit. It also seems like V is not doing so well, but the W is doing great. Beryllium is actually fairly low right now too, so honestly, it probably would have been a better idea right now if we had held onto our spoils and just kind of like stored them up, but I'd rather not deal with it. This is the repair interface. So what's going to happen is there's wear and tear. Whether or not you crash into things or whether or not you take damage, vibration is the natural enemy of all engineering. And so things are just kind of vibrating and straining and moving. Your ship is not like the top-of-the-line spaceship in the galaxy. It's a piece of shit. It's a piece of trash that was designed for mining. It is the bare minimum in order to bring in the bare maximum in profits. And so anyways, it's going to wear down. You can replace the parts at any time along with the associated cost on this side. If it's obsessively damaged, you can kind of like smack it back into place if you don't have the money to replace it or if it's too expensive. For right now, that's not too huge of an issue. Later on in the game, when you've replaced your thrusters with like nicer thrusters or you've replaced your engine with a nicer engine, replacing it will be very, very expensive. And so there'll be times where it's advantageous to kind of like do some percussive maintenance and get it just like back into working order. But just be forewarned, things like misalignment, they matter. If things are misaligned by like 8 or 9% over the long term, it's going to cost you a lot more fuel because you're also course correcting for the misalignment in one of your parts. And so, like I said, this whole game is based on kind of physics and realism. You can tune everything about your ship that you want to tune. You can overclock your ship. You can play around with meters. Everything on my ship can be fiddled with and kind of tuned to your liking. It's a very customizable game. As far as equipment goes, this is where you're going to buy stuff. Our current ship has a high-stress hardpoint, 2 low-stress hardpoints. On the right hardpoint, I put a baffle. That way, if I'm about to crash into anything, I can rotate the ship very quickly, and it'll run into these basically like pillowy, these pillowy balloons that I've installed on this side and just go boing and bounce it off. I had to uninstall the one that was on the other side because I had to put a mass driver over here so that I could mount the manipulator arm on the hardpoint in the center, but still works. It's just it requires a little bit more reflexes now to make the system function. There's a bunch of different parts of your craft. There's a bunch of different options. You can replace everything from your heads-up display to your autopilot to your reactor cores to your propellant tanks. Everything on this ship can be kind of like refiddled with and realigned and messed with. For right now, with the money that we have, I think we need to upgrade our engine. I feel like our engine is kind of struggling right now. Once we start getting like a whole bunch of... I feel like our engine is struggling once we start having a whole lot of excess weight from cargo being added. So I would say maybe this exceeds thermal or electric power production of your craft. Okay, let's see what happens here. We'll watch the simulation. Seems to be doing okay on slight adjustments. Okay, under full load, it looks like we're not generating enough heat. And it looks like we're not possibly generating enough electricity either. Okay, so that means before we can adjust the main propulsion, we're going to have to go through and we're going to have to adjust the power grid. It's $30K for us to put a twin turbine on this thing. That'll help out with our power situation. But we'll have to replace the reactor core as well, it looks like to me. So it's $80K for a new fuel rod that produces a lot more electricity and a lot more heat. Basically, the way that it works is your engine generates propulsion, so it generates pressure and it generates electricity from that pressure. The fuel rod is going to increase the amount of pressure that we're able to generate. Power balance looks okay though. So let's go ahead and slap in the new fuel rod, and that'll be our big purchase of the day. There are other ships, so we can go to the dealer. And if you take a look over here, you can see that we've got a bunch of different ships that we can buy from. They'll have different mods and different things going on. So even with the same ship over here inside the dealership, you'll see variations in terms of like what they look like. That's because like this guy right here kind of looks like he has a reinforced hull. This guy over here has some kind of like large-scale microwave weapon on the front. These two ships are obviously the same, but this one's got some kind of mod that's got a green LED over there, and it's got something mounted on the right side of the hull as well, whereas this guy does not. And so anyways, all of the ships will have little variances and things that they do differently from one another. This one appears to have some kind of sensor package. This one appears to have double mass drivers. So yeah, there's different ships that you can buy. They will allow you to perform your job to better or worse specification than before. It looks like we've got some promotions over on this side. That being said, they are quite expensive to purchase, but I love all the little immersive I love that it plays kind of like a promotional ad right here for each of the craft. When you go through, you can just kind of hear it saying, you know, the 2380 series Zero Falcon, measured in speed, tempered in elegance. You know, like you can almost hear the voiceover going over the top. And that's what I like about this game is that, like, yeah, it's slow and it's clunky, but like it's clunky and slow by design for immersive purposes because it's a game that's based on sort of the reason and science of actually being in space and ring mining. Just love that about it. All right, well, let's go ahead and let's launch back out. We ain't got no money, so we've got to continue sort of accumulating upgrades on this craft in order to kind of perform and outfit it the way that we want. We've got low battery capacity, although hopefully with the new fuel rods, we've helped out with that. We may need another ultra capacitor, which is effectively just like a space battery. I'd like to get the propulsion system and the engine upgraded a little bit so that we've got a tiny bit more. Yeah, look at our energy usage right now. The last time we left the station right there, our energy usage bottomed out our battery. Now we're looking good. So those fuel rods definitely help out. They were expensive, but they're doing a good job right now. The only downside to that is that the fuel rods are going to generate a lot more heat. And so we may settle kind of at a heat rating that we're not happy with. Like our heat profile may be a little bit rough. Let's go ahead and pull forward. That's a little too much speed for me. I don't like to be moving at like 40 meters per second. I like to be at about 35. And so we'll kind of just cruise on into the rings over here. I'm going to have to do some evasive maneuvering to get around this patch of rocks. I think we should shoot right through the middle of these right here. I like to drift for a little bit at the beginning. I just kind of give myself some thrust. I pick a vector and I just sort of boost in that direction, and then I just kind of let it flow. Okay, adjusting course through some rough fields right here. This may be where we want to stop off and start doing some mining. It's looking to get a little thick over here, so that's good. Thick with opportunity. Let's go ahead and slow the ship down. I don't like these smaller meteorites out here, or these smaller asteroids. They're a little bit harder to kind of bullseye with my side-mounted, my grabber arm missed. How could you, grabber arm? Get it inside the mouth. There we go. Good job, grabber arm. Ain't nothing but water. Okay. Let's pull forward a little bit. We'll go ahead and grab this guy right here. And then I'll spin around and we'll get these 3 rocks right here and just kind of see what they give to us. I was really hoping we weren't going to pick up as much water this time, but unfortunately, I'm trying to go slowly at the moment. Oh. Apparently the grabber arm simply needed to have that right there. That one's flying off into the distance, unfortunately. I'm not particularly interested in chasing it down. This one right here, I think we can get if we adjust quickly. There we go. Slow it on down. Sorry, my cat just jumped into my lap and has decided to ruin the video by head booping everything, including the microphone, my mouse, my keyboard. Thanks, buddy. You know, like, you understand, this is what pays for the kibble, right? Like, the fact that you have, like, litter to poop on and, like, food to eat. Like, this is, I gotta do my job, man. This is what pays for it. All right, we got that little rock right there. Let's go ahead and pull forward. I don't like losing loot, but we're kind of in a situation where sometimes you lose loot in this game. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you shoot a rock, and sometimes when you shoot that rock, it flies off into the distance and it's unrecoverable. Let's go ahead and grab that right there. Okay, a little bit more loot for us. Although, unfortunately, it was mostly water, although we have picked up a little bit of V, which is nice. I need you. That's kind of an over adjustment. There we go. If you're trying to aim a side-mounted mass driver, it gives you the impression in the preview that it's going to attach a little laser so that you can see. Spoiler alert, it does not attach a little laser that you can see moving around. I was going to say, if we hit that one right there, it's going to be a miracle. Although that's got a nice blue tone to it. That might be something valuable. Looks like possibly, I don't know. It only brought us up by a couple thou, so I guess not. See if we can get this guy right here. If I can get ahead of it a little bit. There we go. It should come right to us. This is actually like the perfect situation when it comes to ring mining, is when you get it to come out and it just comes straight to you. All right, there we go. Ooh, 5,000 in that rock right there. That was a good rock right there, sir. I've been ring mining a long time, and that's a good yield right there. You get yourself about $5,000 for that rock right there. That's a good old rock right there. That's one you throw up in the cargo hold. That's one of them nuggets we get on back to McDonald's corporate. That nugget gonna sell. I'm telling you, that nugget's gonna sell right there. That's a good one. That was only worth 1,000, so that's a little bit of a bummer. We're not even in like the valuable area of the rings right now, but it gets kind of like risky and nasty out there, so I don't tend to go too deep just yet. You kind of want to be like well armed and ready for war if you're going to go out to like the rougher areas. A little bit of fun action going on here. We got some rocks floating around. But yeah, this is not a game that I think is going to be for everybody. It's slow. It's clunky on purpose. Like, it's one of those games, though, that I think that if you're into hard space sims, things like Hard Space Shipbreakers or things like Mech Engineer, like games that are very, very kind of gritty and granular, I think there is, you know, an audience for this game. Like, I am that audience. I love weird little contemplative titles like this right here. Oh, I think my grabber arm has something in it. Hold on. Oh, yeah, dude. He's got like a happy little fistful of loot right there. All right, we'll go ahead and try to grab that rock right there as well. My cat's head is in the way. Cool, that was actually a decent rock right there. We got some stuff flying away from us, but I just am not a fan of chasing down the rocks that have a whole lot of velocity. Like, I just don't see the point, because like after I chase them down, right, I'm gonna have to decelerate. That's gonna cost me like a bunch of fuel, and I'm just like, There's also the chance of collisions. Like, all of my collisions have happened while chasing a particularly tricky piece of ore through like an asteroid field, and I don't want to do it. Like, I'd rather, it gets really expensive. Like, once you've got really nice parts on your ship, it's gonna cost you when you want to repair them. Got that one right there. Fortunately, the grabber arm sometimes is a little experimental. He's missed my mouth twice now. Grabber arm, are you okay? Grabber arm, did you come to work drunk today? It's okay, you can confess. You can tell me. I'm not gonna judge you, grabber arm. There we go. You got it in the hole there, brother. Well done, you ridiculously expensive piece of space equipment that barely works. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that on into the hold. We got about 30,000 going on right now. Hold is looking pretty full. We do have a sensor blip up to the top left, and that sensor blip has no velocity, but it also has no transponder. Let's go investigate. Let's go see what it is. It might be salvage. Hello, what are you? I don't know what that is. A beacon? A capsule of some kind? It's kind of hard to say. What is that? Well, the grabber arm wants it, whatever it is. I have no idea what we just picked up, but it was worth $100,000. Curious. Let's go back to the station and see what it was. What is this? That's the nice thing about the grabber arm, too. I've tried to grab one of those things before, that little weird pod that we just picked up, and, like, it is so hard to get that thing inside the mouth of your ship because it has to be like a hot dog. It has to be, like, the right shape to go into the mouth of the ship, so if it's slightly sideways, you just bump into it and it spins off into the horizon. The grabber arm made that very, very easy. Let's investigate and see what this is. I don't know if it's, like, a black box or if it was just, like, a cargo pod or, like, an anomaly. Oh, dude, it's Elon Musk's Tesla. We found it out in the rings of Saturn. So there you go. We made $100,000 apparently recovering Elon Musk's orbital Tesla. I'll take it. It's $130,000. I'm willing to bet you could use $130,000 right now, huh, viewer? Everybody could use $130,000, even somebody that don't need $130,000. We got any repairs we need to take care of? Our thrusters are starting to wear a little bit. They haven't misaligned yet, but they are wear and tearing. I figure they've got maybe another good 2 runs in them before we're going to start to see like a misalignment. I would like to pick up some crew now. There are a number of crew over here. They will have varying levels of education, and they will give your ship new abilities. So were we to hire Lisa Nakajima, she will give us tactical awareness. So it will highlight ships around us by their transponders. We also have coordinate tracking. And so anyways, apparently we'll be able to get some kind of positional reckoning inside the rings. We also have, let's see, extends how much your mechanic can repair during maintenance. Okay. We've got jury rig efficiency, changes how far you can push the ship in the OMS menu during the ring dive. Okay. We have adrenal slowdown right now already. I'd prefer to get somebody, if we were going to hire somebody. Yeah, I'd prefer to get a geologist that can identify and figure out what things are worth so I know what rocks to take and what rocks to kind of like abandon and not mess with. We'll take him on board. There he is. And so he pops up right over here with a little spacesuit helmet on. He gets like illumination and everything else too. So he's going to go with us on our next ring dive. And so he'll help us out with anything that we've got to get done. I think these guys are procedural. I think it just randomly grabs portraits and abilities and education levels and stuff like that. But anyways, this is Delta V, Rings of Saturn. I hope you guys like it. I think this game is really, really fun, and I'm planning on dumping some serious hours into it very, very soon. I've already put a couple of hours into it, but I've kind of fallen off the wagon because I've been playing Star Sector a lot, and also Guild Wars 2. But at some point, I'm putting a lot of hours into this game. It's just that, like, you know, sometimes you get sidetracked with other things. So many games, so little time in the average given gamer day. So anyways, I'll see y'all later. If I had any critiques about this game, I think it would be, I guess I haven't really given you critique for the day now, have I? In the equipment menu, I like this right here, the simulation, but what I would like better is just like a number of bar graphs showing kind of your energy efficiency versus your energy storage versus your energy expenditure, your heat generation, heat expenditure. Like, I would like to get some kind of statistical regression to go along with this data over here. They do give you a line graph right here that's active during the simulation itself, but sometimes the simulation has like a spin-up time before it starts running, and having to watch like the entire simulation over and over and over again to chart like minor changes. I'd like to see something that just actively updates over here kind of in this empty space as well, so that you can just eyeball as you go, and then you can watch the simulation if you needed more fine-tuned granular data. So anyways, I guess that's the one thing, is that like sometimes you gotta watch the simulation a lot of times over here to figure out exactly what it is you need to fiddle with. And so anyways, that would be the one thing that I think slows down gameplay a little bit, and it could be sped up by just having like a, you know, a bar graph over here, like columns basically, that just kind of show your performance as a synopsis of the simulation having been run. And then you could use that for kind of an overall view at your craft and its performance. But if you're looking for specific fail points in performance, like where does it fall off, then you could use the simulation over here with the line graph. So anyways, my name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today we were taking a look at Delta V, Rings of Saturn. This is kind of a niche game, and I get it if some people aren't into it, but I very much like kind of these low sci-fi simulator games, and so I figured I'd show it off. I'll see y'all tomorrow with something hot and fresh off the indie skillet, but up until then, that's about all I got for you. Bye, everybody.